YouTube vinyl community, Brian Wilson and Van Dyke Parks fans, random people on the internet, my name is Jenny Jamball and we are here today to talk about Orange Crate art. Fans of the channel would know that Giggens actually reviewed this album back in 2021, but with the 30th anniversary coming up on the 24th of October, and also as the world's biggest Orange Crate art fan, I very kindly asked Giggens if I could please review this album on his page, and here I am. So hello everybody, I hope you enjoy my review. I really love this album. This is my favorite album of all time, and anyone who's had the pleasure of being around me the past 12 months has heard me talk about this album, so why not put it down in a proper video for everybody to watch, so please enjoy. I just want to start by saying that Van Dyke Parks has a very complex writing style, so I've really tried my best to interpret the songs, but I'm not saying that my interpretations are the correct interpretations. I've just tried my best to kind of try to decipher what they mean. And I'm also wearing overalls today in honor of Van Dyke Parks because he's always wearing overalls. So Van, if you watch this is for you, okay? Orange Crate art came out in 1995, and this was such an interesting period for Brian. That whole 90s period for him was just a time of him finding himself again. He had just left that whole situation with Dr. Eugene Landy, if we can even call him a doctor. He had put him under so much pressure, and he did release his first solo album during that time, but the circumstances under which that album was recorded, which I'm not here to get into, but we do know that Brian was put under a lot of pressure during that time. So when he finally left that situation, he was just out there in the world having to make decisions for himself again for the first time in a very long time. And that, I can't even imagine what that would have felt like for Brian. Like how you're coming back into a world where people don't know you. Who's Brian Wilson? He's just that beach boy. Like, he wants to create, but he doesn't know where to start. It's just it was such a hard time. So I know that he did want to start creating music again, and he made that fantastic documentary with Don Was, I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. You can see the poster there behind me. And he did record some music for that as well, but as far as studio albums, he hadn't done anything since his self-titled album. And then Mr. Van Dyke Parks reached out to Brian and was like, hey, do you want to collaborate with me on this album? And Brian said yes. So I don't know the actual specifics around how that all came down. From what I've read online, Van had all these songs written and he just wanted it recorded, but he just didn't like the sound of his own voice, and he thought that Brian would be the best person to take charge of this. So that's what happened. Recording this album with Van Dyke Parks was a very interesting experience for Brian because he didn't contribute anything except his voice to this album. So Van did everything else. He wrote all the words, he did all the arrangements, he just did all of the work. Not that singing isn't work, but Brian, he's very much used to being in the studio and taking charge. But during this time, he didn't have that confidence. So he really needed someone there to guide him through, and Van Dyke Parks was that man. In the 25th anniversary liner notes for this album, Brian shares some interesting words about his experience recording this album. First and foremost, he spoke about how much he enjoyed it. He really enjoyed being in the studio with Van. They are huge fans of each other. They absolutely work so well together, and I'm going to use Van Dyke's words here, but mutual empowerment. They mutually empower each other and bring out the best in each other. So I'm so glad that they decided to collaborate on this again. And it was what Brian needed at that time, He didn't need more pressure. He just left a situation with Landy that was so much pressure. So being in the studio with Van, he could just relax. So in the liner notes, he did say it was like the weight was lifted off his shoulders. He could just sit there and just take it easy. So how it worked is he would get into the studio, Van would feed him some of the lines and the words, play him a bit of the music so he had an idea of how the music would sound, and Brian would just sing it. And that, how much better can that be? Just to be relaxed and just sing. Just sing. Another interesting thing about this album is that Brian does all the backup vocals as well. So we get this Brian wall of sound. Someone described it like that on Reddit, and I thought that was really a fitting way to describe it. So not only is he doing the lead vocals, but he also does the backup vocals. So very fascinating album. That's a little bit of context. I could speak about this album forever, but let's get into the tracks and talk about each song and what I think they mean. So the album kicks off with the title track, Orange Crate Art, and what a beautiful sunny start to this album. You hear steel drums, harmonica, mandolin on this track, and which you'll hear throughout the album, but it just gives you such a an idyllic look into what's to come with this album. To me, this track presents a nostalgic view of California. I've never been to California, but listening to this song, I feel like I've been there before. With lyrics like Aroma and Heart, Room for Two, Barnyard Gate, Orange Crate Table and a Rocking Chair, it really invites the listener to enter a time where you can not only look back to a better time, but just to sit and pause and reflect. A perfect way to start the album. Up next, we've got Sail Away, and this song makes me so happy. I read somewhere, and I hope this is correct, I read somewhere that Van kind of wrote this in jest and also homage to Randy Newman, because he did produce his first album and they became friends, and he just kind of thought it would be a fun little nod to his friend there. So I don't know if that's 100% true. I did read that somewhere, but I hope it's true because it's a great story. But this song really just makes me so happy. It's about disconnecting. I interpret this track about longing, waiting, hoping, loving. It's the desire to be alone with the person that you love and disconnect from the world, which seems pretty much impossible in 2025. He talks about a paradise for two, a sea that is bright and blue. That's a moment for you and just that other person and no one else. So really, really love Sail Away. Track 3 is My Hobo Heart, and this is the first song I remember hearing from Orange Crate Art. The word hobo isn't a word we have here in Australia, so hearing that as a child really piqued my interest. I was like, what is a hobo? So I really was drawn to this track from the very, very start. I love the way Brian harmonizes in the back of this track. He's got the whoa whoas and the yeah yeahs. It's an instant earworm, and I sing along to this track every single time. Giggens knows, he's heard me do it. This song is about a traveler, someone who just wanders through life, doesn't really want to settle down. He says he's got a lover in every town. He doesn't want to, stay in one place for too long until he finds someone, and he is stuck in that place happily. That's where he wants to be. He wants to be with that special someone, and his traveling days are through. I think it's such a sweet album, and I can definitely relate. I found my special someone, My Hobo Heart. I love it. Up next is Wings of a Dove, and this song just soars. It is such a triumph, and when I hear it, I can just imagine Brian up on stage really belting it out. It is just such a great song. This song captures such emotion that I just can't help but smile when I hear it. The song itself is about a rainstorm or a thunderstorm and what it feels like in that moment. It's kind of washing away the worries of the day. You're trying to stop the leaks coming through the roof by putting pots and pans on the floor. You hear the pitter patter of the rain. It's just beautiful. There's a line in the song about someone being in tribulation, which is distress, and then they're just saying, it's okay, don't worry about it. And I think that's such a nice way to kind of wrap up this song, because it's that, to me, that's saying don't sweat the small stuff. And in Australia we would say she'll be right. So I think that is kind of what that song means. I'm not too sure. Van, if you're watching, let me know what this song means, because I love it. Side 2 starts off with Palm Tree and Moon, and this is my second favorite song on the album. I think I've played this about 100 times this year. I just absolutely adore this song. And lyrically, there's some beautiful lines in this song that just get to me every time. There's a line that says, "What a time to be so small. It's a crime not to talk at all. It's heaven that we hear call." That is beautiful. I don't really know what this is about other than love. There's a lot of love themes on this album, which is maybe why I like it so much. I don't know. But it's about being in the moment with that person that you love, but not always being in the right place, moment, or time to be with that person. But when you get there and you get to that special time, it's just perfect. Up next is Summer in Monterey, and this was Brian's favorite song on the album. This song just reminds me of a time that I'll never know, or a time that I will never experience, but it's not worth forgetting about. It's something you should remember, and I think that's really, really beautiful. It's about looking back on summertime trips in Monterey. You rent a house with your family, you go to the beach every day, you go to the cafe, you might have a summer romance, you go to the theater with that special someone. It's such a beautiful song. I also think this song is a reflection on how things used to be. It's not very achievable for many families to be able to rent a house and go away for the summer these days, but this song really invites you to look back, pause, and just think about those times when you were able to do that and you just never wanted it to end. The next track on this album is an absolute powerhouse. It is San Francisco. The next track on this album is an absolute powerhouse. It is San Francisco. And I know I said that Brian's favorite track was Summer in Monterey, but he also really liked San Francisco. And when you hear it, there is no doubting why he loved this song so much, because it is electric. My lovely Giggens knows all too well that this song absolutely gets me charged up in the best possible way. It feels like you're going on an adventure, It's got those Western themes throughout. You also got that refrain of giddy up. You keep saying giddy up. It's so, oh my gosh, This song just makes me want to scream the lyrics at the top of my lungs. I just love it. San Francisco feels like an adventure. You're really going on a journey. When you listen to those lyrics, it's about, you know, being out in a dusty trail, and you really feel that. They captured it perfectly, both lyrically and the sound. I absolutely love San Francisco. It's easily my favorite song on the whole album. Hold Back Time closes out side 2, and this song just took on a whole new meaning when Brian passed away. I played this song so much, and it's so beautiful. It's about like being in the moment and not wanting that moment to end. You know, hold back time. Let's not think about tomorrow. And I can relate to that all too well. It is just beautiful. With the lyrics, it's like thinking back on memories, thinking about that old house you lived in, your children, the things you need to fix around your place. And in that moment, it probably felt really tiresome. But when you're thinking back on that time, it's like, wow, that was actually really special. Why did I wish those moments away? I wish I could have, held back time and just paused that moment and appreciated it a little bit more. Beautiful song. Side 3 starts off with My Janine, and this is such a beautiful track. I feel like I've used the word beautiful 1,000 times, but there's no other way to describe these songs or this album. It's a stunning song all about love and watching that love grow with you. It's about seeing someone for all that they are and all that they will be. It's just so gorgeous. And that last line, time was a magazine, it just perfectly captures what this song is all about. You know, a life so perfect, a love so beautiful, it's idyllic. It could be in the glossy pages of any magazine. Movies is Magic is next, and this song is massive. It is huge. I read somewhere that Van got a 50-piece orchestra into the studio to record that opening little bit there, and it was the most expensive part of the album, and that was money well spent because holy moly, it grabs you. It sounds amazing. Van wrote it best, movies is magic, real life is tragic. It's kind of about being in a dream and all the things that can kind of happen in those dreams, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, well, here we are. But it's about really enjoying that dream when you're in it. This song talks about picture shows, riverboats, cowboys, rock and roll. It's all there, and it's all in your dreams, and it's achievable. You can get it out there in the real world as well, because movies really take you to a new place. Movies are magic. You got it right, Van. The second last track on this album is This Town Goes Down at Sunset. It shows the closing down of the day as well as the start of a new one. When the day ends, the hills go red, and when it wakes up again, the hills are blue. I think that just perfectly captures what we're seeing here on this front cover. This song shows the closing down of a day and kind of all the things that happen in your town that you might not necessarily be aware of because you're so focused on yourself. Doors are slamming, cars are speeding down the street, mothers might be calling their children in to have dinner. It's just a really nice look at what's going on around you and taking that time to really stop and slow down, because the town does go down at sunset. Lullaby closes out the album, and what a perfect ending. It is a gorgeous orchestral piece originally written by George Gershwin, and it just perfectly ends up the album. Like so good. You get that really triumphant start with Orange Crate Art, and then this song just like winds you back down. It gives you a time to really reflect, what you've just listened to, all those beautiful memories you might have thought about or shared while you listen to this album, because this album is really about pausing and stopping and just being in the moment. And this song, Lullaby, really invites you to do that. This song kind of reminds me of when you go to the theater and you've just watched the most beautiful movie you've ever seen, and the credits start rolling and you just can't move. You're just frozen. You're in your seat and you're just like, wow. Like that's what this song feels like to me. It's a time to just stop and really think about, wow, that was a really great album. And it is incredible. There's not a lot of information out there about Orange Crate Art, so I've been doing my detective work. So if anyone wants to fact check me, please do. I'm happy to be corrected. Now that we've spoken about the tracks, it's time for me to give my score or my review of this album. And I'll give you guys one guess of what you think I might give this, because this is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. This album is so special. And when I first heard it, I always enjoyed it. But as I've come back to it in 2025, it has just captured my heart. It has completely captured my heart. When I hear this album, I hear friendship. I hear two friends getting together and just creating some beautiful music. I hear Brian having fun. I hear Brian and Van Dyke Parks having fun. And what more could you want from an album than two friends getting together and making something that makes them happy? I just think it's beautiful. And not to mention, the songs themselves are gorgeous. I never get sick of this album. I've played it every single day since the 1st of January. I just think it's incredible. Please play this album. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to chat with you about Orange Crate Art. It is just It is my favorite. It is my favorite, and I love it. And I hope you love it as much as I do. And if you don't, that's totally cool. But just play it again. Just play it again. Give it another chance. Let me know your thoughts. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Thanks to Giggens for letting me review on his page. This was amazing. Hopefully I did a good job. Okay, bye everyone. See you next time. Bye.